Hello YouTube family, welcome to Design Hub YouTube channel. In this new tutorial we will create this cool pixel explosion effect in Adobe Photoshop CC. You will learn really very cool techniques of brush and masking in it, so without further waiting, let us just enter the magical world of Photoshop and start creating the magic. This is the stock image we will be using to create this effect. You can download it from the link in the description below. After that, we'll take a new document with these settings as width 1280 pixels and height 720 pixels, resolution 150 pixels per inch, and create it. Then, we will create the background for this effect. For that we will take a new gradient adjustment layer. After that we will take these two gradient colors as per your image. I am taking the first color here as this one and the second color as black color. We will set the opacity of the black color stop to 100% and click OK. Now we will change the style to radial and the scale to around 250% and click OK. Now we will change this layer to Smart Object and add some noise to it. For adding the noise, go to Filter, Noise, select Add Noise and set the percentage as 14%, distribution to Gaussian, check the monochromatic and click OK. Now we will add some blur to it. Again go to Filter, Blur and select Gaussian Blur and set the blur pixels to 5 pixels. Now we will group these two layers and rename this group as background. If we want to change anything in this group we can change it later. Okay, now we will cut out this model from the background with the quick selection tool. In Photoshop CC, there is an option to cut out the subjects more easily by selecting the option Select Subject here, and Photoshop will automatically cut out the subject from the background using its artificial intelligence. So, click on Select Subject, and wait for some time as the Photoshop does its job for cutting out the subjects from the background. This takes some time. After the Photoshop has selected the subject, we will apply layer mask to it by clicking the mask icon here and drag it over the background we made earlier. Now we will press Ctrl+T to open the transform properties and click on this link icon between width and height to reduce the height and width proportionately. Decrease the values to make the image fit in the scene and looking perfect for our effect, and then click on Apply the transformation. Now we will apply the layer mask to the subject. We will create two more copies of this layer and hide the upper two layers. We will work on this bottom layer first. Add the mask to this layer and invert the mask and it will hide the image. We will reduce the density a little bit so we can see the areas on which we will be painting with the white brush. Now we will select the brush tool, click on this drop-down option to open the brushes and click this small gear icon. Select the legacy brushes from the sets of different brush options and click OK on the pop-up. This will restore the legacy brushes on your brush presets list. Now we will go to legacy brushes and choose the hard square 24 pixel square brush and change the brush settings like this. In the brush settings under the brush tip shape, increase the spacing to around 160%. In the shape dynamics we will increase the size jitter to the maximum. After that in the scattering we will increase the scatter to the maximum on both axes. Now change the foreground color to white and increase its opacity and flow to 100%. Now paint over the black mask on the model like this and create some scattered pixels. You are free to paint as how you want the pixels for your effect. After this we will unhide the second layer and apply some blur to it. Go to Filter, Blur and Gaussian Blur and set the radius to 8 pixels and click OK. Now we will stretch the right side of the image. For this we will again go to Filter and open the Liquify effect in it. On the left hand side tools we will take this forward warp tool and paint on the right side pixels of the image to stretch them. Paint slowly and mix well the pixels to highlight the effect. Okay, now we will again repeat the same step as we did for the first layer. Add the masked layer, invert it to make it black mask and reduce the density a little bit, and paint with the same white color square brush with the same settings. After we have finished the painting we will increase the density of the mask back to 100% for this layer as well as the first layer. Now we will unhide the top layer and add the white mask to it. Again we will take the square brush but change its settings here. We will turn off the scattering and shape dynamics effects off. We will only keep the spacing settings as before 163%. One thing to remember here is that we will now change the brush color to black as our mask color is white. Now start painting over the image and hide the right side of the image completely. You can increase or decrease the brush size by pressing open or closed square brackets on your keyboard. Paint like shown in this image. After finishing the painting over the mask, we will create a new layer. In this new layer we will paint some random pixels appearing as flying in the air due to pixel explosion from our model. Again we will turn on these two settings and we will paint by taking the colors of the nearby pixels. Pressing the Alt key on the keyboard the brush tool converts to eyedropper tool and then we can click on any color to select it, and as we release the Alt key it will again turn back to brush tool. This really helps in changing the colors and painting at the same time. We will select this color here and paint with the square brush here. On the other area, we will take this color and create the similar color pixels. Repeat this process to create some random pixels in the scene. And remember one thing, as we move farther from the image, pixel size will go on increasing. So, increase the brush size accordingly with left and right square brackets keys and paint with the bigger pixels to the right side of the layer. Do not overcrowd the pixels. Now we will add some motion blur to these painted pixels to add realism to them as they are moving. For that first we will convert this layer to Smart Object. Then we will go to Filter and then Blur Gallery and select the motion blur. We will change the angle to 0 degree and the distance to around 26 pixels and click OK. This will apply the motion blur to the whole layer, but we want it 0 at the left and maximum to the right hand side, so we will apply mask to it. Take the soft round brush and set the foreground color to black. Now paint over the Smart Filter's white mask. First we will keep the opacity to 100% and paint the left side with it. Then we will reduce the opacity a little bit and paint some right side of the layer, and we will keep on reducing the opacity of the brush and paint with 10% opacity over the right hand side bigger pixels, as we want maximum blur to those pixels to show the maximum speed to them. Now we will apply some color grading to our image. For that, first we will merge all the layers into one layer. Press Ctrl plus Alt plus Shift plus E on your keyboard and this will create a new layer merging all the layers. Convert this new layer to Smart Object and then go to Filters and select Camera or Filter. Play with the settings in it to give some special look to your image. This totally depends upon you how you want the image. So friends, we have just created this cool pixel explosion effect in Photoshop. This is the before the color grading and this is the after. I hope you really loved this tutorial and learned many new things in it. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe to Design Hub YouTube channel for more amazing stuffs.